The Ukraine's liberation of Kherson is already underway, but is there still some misinformation and disinformation floating around? I'm going to break it down. I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. It is November 10th, 2022. This is your daily Ukraine update. Let's get into it. Okay, first off, the biggest changes to the tactical map are actually 3 villages which have officially been liberated by Ukraine, right? Russia has withdrawn from these positions at Sinarivka and let's see if we can get this right, Kalinivsky. And you can see this is significant, of course, because this natural barrier, this is a hard position to defend because it's up against this natural barrier in the form of this river. And so it makes sense that Russia would withdraw its forces from this position because, it's simply just, it's a hard position to defend. And you can see instead they're probably going to be withdrawing down the river here. When we look at the larger situation in Kherson, we can see that things are going right now. It looks more or less like the plan we had discussed, right? Where Russia is going to have 2 drains, so to speak, through Kherson, one here at the dam and dam bridge and one here at the Antonovsky bridge. This will probably be the primary one simply because it's so much larger and they seem to have put a lot more effort into keeping it intact. But you're going to see them start to filter out of these positions and form smaller and smaller perimeters around these bridges. I suspect that maybe this will actually be the final crossing point, but I could be wrong. It would, I guess as long as they control this route here, they can withdraw forces and have them slide across and down. Will it be a fighting retreat? Almost certainly. And this is, I think, important to note, right, is that when you look, I saw this on the subreddit, and this description, I'll read it here. Breaking, Russian High Command has issued a general retreat to all surviving Russian forces on the west bank of the Dnipro River. This is not accurate. This is not an appropriate characterization of these events. It is not a general retreat. And all surviving Russian forces, I guess that's technically correct, but it mischaracterizes the situation. What this is a withdrawal. And the difference is a retreat would be something where, a retreat is generally done a bit faster. A way to think of it, again, it's not like a hard and fast rule. It's one of those things that in U.S. military doctrine, they kind of have gradients that are a little subjective. But up here you have a withdrawal. A withdrawal is planned carefully, done systematically, and is done on your own timetable. Then you have a retreat. This is something that's an event forced by the enemy in which you do your best to try to maintain order and discipline, right? So you're losing a battle, you've lost a battle, your forces have to pull back. They're literally getting eliminated, but you maintain unit cohesion. Your units are still taking orders. And then at the bottom is a rout. A rout would be when command and control breaks down. This is when your unit has taken tremendous casualties. Your ability to exercise command and control is 0. And so this is characterizing what's happening here as a retreat. It's not. And it's not a retreat issued to all surviving Russian forces. No, this is a withdrawal. This was planned. It's been in the works for weeks. It has been it's been well reported on, well documented, and is not that big a surprise, again, to viewers of this channel, people who have been staying up on the Ukraine news. And so when you read stuff like this, my problem with it is that it creates a perception among the reader that these events are more catastrophic than they are. This is one of the this is obviously a huge win for Ukraine to see their largest city be liberated without firing. Well, they fired a lot of shots, but without a decisive battle. There will be no Battle of Kherson, right? At least not in this phase of the war. And that's pretty huge, because as you can see on the map, clearing block by block through Kherson would be nightmarish. So we can all be thankful that we've avoided the loss of life that would occur if there were a Battle of Kherson. But no, what we need to understand is that Russia is doing this systematically. It's going to preserve a lot of its combat power. It's going to preserve a lot of its top tier units. A lot of their airborne units, like when we look over here, we can see a lot of Russian Ministry of Defense units are arrayed here. And you can see, again, theory confirmed, look at how these units are arrayed around the first drain and around the second drain, right? And you can see, right, 11th Assault Brigade, Artillery Brigade, Motorized Rifle Brigades. These are good, well-regarded units, right? These are not Air Assault Regiment, right? Air Assault Regiment, Motorized Rifle Regiment, Motorized Rifle Regiment. These are high-level federal Ministry of Defense troops. These are professionals, right? An Air Assault Airborne Division, Army Corps headquarters, right? When we look up here, for example, we're probably going to see things that look more like DNR, LNR units. See an LNR unit, PMCs. You just see DNR units. These are not the high-level professionals that are operating here, or rather, these are not the trained professional units formations that we see here in Kherson. So understand that this withdrawal will probably preserve Russian combat power, and it's likely to show up somewhere else, right? Because defending just two major crossing points is going to be fairly easy, and it's not going to take a ton of Russian combat power, and they'll be able to take those highly professional troops and reallocate them to other Russian strategic priorities. Probably the liberation of Donetsk City would be my guess, or possibly seizing Bakhmut, though I suspect Prigozhin will seethe on a level just like the worst of them if he has to rely on Ministry of Defense troops to take Bakhmut. So anyway, just bear these things in mind when you hear reporting characterizing this. And again, we switch over to Ground News. Link is in the description. They're free, and again, they're the best source for tracking bias in this conflict for sure. And you can see that, right, the top headline, Russia says retreat from key city has begun, but Ukraine is cautious. And you can see that left, right, and center leaning sources are all reporting pretty much the same story about Ukraine exercising a level of caution with all of this. And this is I think the best characterization of this event. But nonetheless, right, we can acknowledge both that this is a huge victory for Ukraine and recognize that because it's done on Russia's timetable, it comes with costs, certainly, especially, I suspect, cost down the line. Anyway, if you guys want the uncensored combat video breakdowns, of course, they are on the Patreon. Be sure to check out the link in the description. And thanks to my Lieutenant tier patrons. You guys are the ones who make this possible. And if you can't do that, be sure to check out Ground News. It's free, and it really is a great source of information here in this conflict. All right, see you all in the next one.